For spine-chilling true horror stories, terrifying tales exposed from cursed shadows of the haunted, Claire's heart raced as she stepped into the shadows of her quiet Ohio suburb. The local diner's fluorescent lights flickered behind her, but the thought of her 10-year-old daughter, Lily, waiting at home gnawed at her. Just as she drummed the steering wheel, a text buzzed from her phone, a warning from her neighbor, someone she'd always kept at bay. "Strange things are happening here, you have to watch out." The words felt like ice curling in her belly, but she brushed it off. Wasn't it just paranoia? This was a safe neighborhood. Yet, as she drove home, the familiar flickering of streetlights transformed into something menacing. Shadows danced like wraiths across the road. Her grip tightened on the wheel. This wasn't just a late-night drive, it felt like a race against unseen eyes. Once inside their modest home, the calmness of the night felt deceitful, heavy with anticipation. Lily's innocent chatter suddenly turned sinister. "Mommy, there's a shadow man," she said, wide-eyed. "He whispers secrets through my window." Claire's stomach dropped. Dismissing it, she chuckled nervously, but she couldn't shake the remnants of anxiety. What did her daughter know? That night, as they snuggled up in bed, dread bubbled beneath the surface. The whispers from Lily's room were muffled, but they clawed through the walls, probing Claire's memories. Memories she thought were buried deep. Yet, the unease festered. Day by day, anonymous letters began piling outside their door, tauntingly signed "Your friend." Each piece of paper revealed secrets that clawed at Claire like a wild animal, truths she had hidden even from herself. Who was watching? Who had unearthed those forgotten fragments of her life? The laughter that once filled their small home faded, replaced by a taut cord of paranoia. Familiar faces of neighbors morphed into masks of suspicion. The illusion of safety shattered. Even Max, their loyal dog, howled low in the night, sensing the shadows creeping closer with each passing day. One harrowing night, when dark blanketed the town like a coffin lid, a loud thud echoed against the back door. Max's bark slashed through the quiet, filled with raw terror. Claire's heart raced. Time froze as she stood at the threshold, torn. The weight of her decisions bore down on her. Was this the Shadow Man? Had he come for them? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Claire's hands trembled around the doorknob. Every instinct screamed to either confront the darkness or shield Lily from whatever lay beyond. What if these whispers knew her deepest fears? What if they ripped apart everything she held dear? She inhaled sharply, bracing for the worst. As she slowly unlatched the door, shadows slinked in, wrapping around her like icy tendrils. What will she find? Will the darkness reveal the secrets clawing at her sanity? Or will it consume them all? The night quivered with a heavy promise, one that begged clarity, yet only amplified fear. The cold air seeped into Claire's skin as she opened the door, revealing only the darkness of her backyard. It felt alive, whispering. A sudden burst from the night sent chills cascading down her spine. The rustling leaves whispered something just out of understanding. Max's growl deepened, a primal warning echoing through the quiet. "Max, stay," she hissed, half-heartedly pushing back against the creeping dread. She squinted into the blackened expanse but saw nothing, only shadows undulating in the flickering porch light, as if they were teasing her. She stepped into the chill, each footfall a battle against an overwhelming urge to turn around. How could she protect Lily if she couldn't even face the night? A second thud sounded louder this time. It jolted her, a living heartbeat in the desolation around her. Claire's breaths quickened, each one a frantic plea for courage. What if that Shadow Man was real? What if he had taken an interest in them? She whispered her daughter's name as if it could summon protection from the unseen horrors lingering nearby. Suddenly, the soft sound of laughter echoed from the house behind her, a child's laugh. It was unmistakably Lily's, carefree and innocent. Relief washed over Claire, but it was immediately tainted by an unsettling realization. Lily was in bed, tucked away safe, or so she thought. That laughter felt too close, too mischievous, almost mocking. Lily! Claire spun around, racing back into the house, feet pounding the floor like a war drum. Panic surged through her veins as she reached her daughter's door, the flickering light of the bedside lamp spilling out. Was she too late? The very idea sent her heart plummeting. She threw the door open. The sight nearly sent her collapsing to the floor. Lily sat upright in bed, eyes wide but untroubled. The pale glow illuminated something else, figures, flickering shadows weaving across the walls. The faces shimmers like nightmares caught in the light, moving closer, vanishing with every blink. Claire's heart hammered against her chest. "Mommy!" Lily exclaimed softly, "Look! It's the Shadow Man." Her voice was a strange blend of awe and innocence. Without considering the danger, Claire rushed to her side, wrapping her arms around her trembling child as if that alone could shield them from whatever horrors were unfolding. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Claire struggled to keep her voice steady, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. "I told you. He knows our secrets." Lily grinned, a strange, otherworldly understanding in her gaze. The shadows swirled around them, transforming the mundane room into something unrecognizable, thick with foreboding. "What secrets?" Claire pressed, chilled to the bone. "They want to play." The words fell from Lily's lips, laced with something sinister. Her innocent eyes sparked with mischief, and in that moment, Claire saw a flicker of something else, a glint of knowledge not meant for a child. The night outside howled against the windows, and the shadows grew thicker, slinking further into their lives. Claire's grip tightened involuntarily, her protective instincts pushing against the unyielding fear clawing at her mind. Just then, an ominous scratching noise echoed from the window, dragging her attention away. Claire's breathing quickened as the shadows seemed to surge forward, almost pressing against the glass, like hungry phantoms waiting to be invited in. With a sudden urgency, Claire realized she had a choice to make. Should she confront the shadows lurking outside, those that seemed to know everything? Or would she bury her head in the sand, hoping they would simply go away? But the shadows had a voice, echoing in her mind, a chilling whisper that promised to reveal secrets long buried. Could the answer to her nightmarish fear lie just beyond the window? As Claire edged closer, she felt the weight of suffocating darkness, as if the very air was a thick fog of dread. What awaited her outside? Would she be able to uncover the truth, or fall victim to whatever lurked in the shadows? The scratching at the window grew more frantic, clawing, demanding her attention like a child tugging at a sleeve. Claire hesitated, her heart racing. Every instinct told her to pull away, to shield Lily from whatever malevolent force sought to breach their sanctuary. But the shadows whispered sweet promises, coaxing her to peek. "Mommy, can we let him in?" Lily's voice cut through the thick silence, laced with an eagerness that made Claire's stomach drop. The innocence in her tone was jarring, painfully contrasting the terror that pulsed thick in the air. "He knows our secrets. He can play with us." "No." Claire's voice cracked as she gripped Lily tighter. Every fiber of her being screamed to protect her, to keep them both far from whatever lay beyond that glass. "We don't let strangers in, Lily. Not ever." The scratching stopped abruptly, replaced by a chilling silence that swallowed the room whole. Claire dared not breathe, the stillness wrapping around them like a vice. But then, faint laughter bubbled up again, echoing not just from within the house, but from outside, drifting toward them like a sinister lullaby. "Mommy, see?" Lily pointed at the window, her wide-eyed gaze unwavering. "He's funny." Fear clawed at Claire's throat. The shadows outside slithered closer, seeming to twist and contort, a mass of swirling darkness ready to pounce. In that moment, she saw movement, a shape darting just beyond the glass. It was swift, inky, and it felt like something inside it was laughing. "Look closer, Mommy," Lily urged, bouncing slightly in excitement. "He wants to play hide and seek." With her heart pounding like a war drum, Claire forced herself to peer outside. The window's glass refracted the muted porch light, creating ghostly figures that danced across the dark yard. Then she saw it, a tall, contorted figure standing beneath the skeletal branches of an oak, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Its eyes glimmered, two voids of anticipation, locked onto Claire as if measuring her intent. "Stay away," she shouted, voice trembling. The figure didn't flinch. It remained rooted, watching, waiting. Lily giggled, a sound that sent icy tendrils of fear through Claire's veins. "He's just playing, Mommy. He wants to meet you." "No. No, we don't play with him," Claire shouted, panic rising in her chest. The laugh from outside morphed into a screech that pierced through her resolve. Her fingers tightened in Lily's hair as she dragged her daughter backward, away from the window. They needed to lock the door, to barricade themselves in. But before she could turn, everything went dark. The lights flickered and then extinguished, leaving them cloaked in utter blackness. The shadows around them seemed to swell, no longer content to merely watch. They surged forward, enveloping Claire and Lily in a suffocating shroud. "Mommy." Lily's voice was a whisper now, filled with fear. The warmth from her small body registered in a chilling contrast against the cold dread closing in. "Stay close," Claire cried, instinctively curling protectively around her daughter. The shadows surged, tangible now, almost tactile. An icy breath whispered along her neck, heavy with the scent of decay. A sudden crash echoed through the house, followed by the unmistakable sound of breaking glass. Claire's heart lurched. Had the figure outside come in? Had it found a way to break through? "Mommy, he's here," Lily squealed, her eyes wide, capturing the glimmers of the shadow playfully twisting beneath them. Through the suffocating dark, Claire's instincts kicked in. They could not stay here, they had to escape. But as she fumbled toward the door, disoriented and panicked, a flicker of light caught her eye, a pale flicker that emanated from beyond the shadows. "Follow the light," a voice hissed, oily with anticipation, slithering into her mind. If they didn't follow it, would they be lost forever in this terrifying nightmare? Where would the light lead them? Was it salvation or doom? Claire hesitated, the shadows closing in as the chilling whisper echoed in her mind. "Play with us." What would Claire choose? Would she dare to step into the light, or remain shackled by the fear of the ominous shadows? The light flickered again, pulling Claire's attention like a moth to a flame. Panic flared in her chest, and with it came a fierce protectiveness for Lily. She had to make a decision fast. The shadows collapsed around them, buzzing with an electric energy that made her skin crawl. "Mommy, I can see him," Lily squealed, her small hand reaching toward the flickering glow. "No. Stay back." Claire's voice broke, desperation clawing at her throat. She pulled Lily tight against her, feeling her daughter's small frame tremble. "We can't trust him." The laughter outside warped into a cacophony of whispers swirling within the dark. They slithered into Claire's ears, each sinister word tantalizing yet threatening. "We want to play. Come join us." Nerves frayed, Claire's instincts screamed for escape. She couldn't wait any longer. Not with Lily's innocence hanging in the balance. She shifted, keeping one hand on the wall for guidance, while the other gripped her daughter tightly. The darkness felt alive, each step pushing against her like a cold tide. "Mommy, please," Lily whined, her voice trembling. "I want to play." The shadows pulsated, thriving on her daughter's naivete, mocking her fear. Claire felt a surge of panic, urging her faster towards the flickering light that beckoned like a siren. What was this light? A refuge or a trap? It was hard to think clearly in the all-consuming dark, but she didn't have time to weigh her options. Finally, they reached an opening, a doorway left ajar, glowing faintly at the end of the hall. The soft luminescence poured into the darkness as if it were a beacon of hope, a promise to guide them out of this nightmare. Claire's heart hammered in her chest as she pushed the door wide, revealing an empty room bathed in that otherworldly glow, but as they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them, locking them in. A sickening dread settled into Claire's bones. The air grew thick, and the whispered laughter turned into a chorus of voices, many overlapping at once, a cacophony of deceit. "You've joined us now, you can't leave." Lily giggled again, a sound that sent chills rippling down Claire's spine. "Look, Mommy. He's here." Claire spun around. The tall figure emerged from the shadows once more, its form backlit by the light, making it appear larger, more menacing. The head tilted again at that same, unnatural angle, and its eyes seemed to bore into Claire's soul, revealing a twisted mix of delight and hunger. The warmth of light felt like a cruel joke. It provided no comfort, only a stark contrast to the swirling dread encroaching upon them. "Play with us, or suffer," it hissed, the words curling like smoke around her thoughts. Claire felt a surge of defiance rise within her. They would not play, they would resist. "Don't listen to him, Lily," she shouted, turning her body to shield Lily from the looming figure. "We need to find a way out." But the walls of the room began to close in, the figures in the shadows multiplying, slithering across surfaces, storytelling in hushed tones that dripped with malice. Claire's heart raced as the whispers heightened to a deafening roar. The light flickered ominously, struggling against the encroaching darkness. Hope was slipping through her fingers like sand. "Mommy, don't be scared," Lily exclaimed, her voice too cheerful against the horror surrounding them. "He just wants to play." Claire's breath caught, ice settling in her veins. She turned to her daughter, eyes wide with terror. "No, Lily." And just then, the floor beneath them buckled, sending Claire tumbling into darkness, Lily's shriek piercing through the chaos as she slipped from Claire's grasp. Where had Lily gone? Would she face the shadows alone? Claire's heart raced as a new fear gnawed at her. In this twisted game, would she ever find her daughter again? The haunting laughter echoed as shadows conspired to swallow her whole. In that moment of despair, another whisper slithered through the air, "Only one can stay, only one survives." What price would Claire have to pay to save her daughter? The darkness swallowed her, wrapping around Claire like a thick fog. Heart racing, she pushed against the ground, her palms scraping against cold, hard floor. Panic surged as she called out for Lily, her voice echoing into nothing. "Lily! Where are you?" Silence. The shadows danced around her, wisps of darkness swirling with malevolence. An oppressive weight settled on her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She fought against it, pushing herself onto her knees. The fleeting memory of Lily's laughter twisted in her mind, mingling with the sinister whispers creeping closer. "You cannot escape." Claire strained her ears, straining against the cacophony of voices. They seemed to be everywhere, chuckling, taunting her with every breath she took. The air was thick, laced with an unnameable dread. She had to find Lily, had to push through the darkness. "Mommy?" A small voice finally broke through, fragile and sweet yet laced with a tremor that sent shivers coursing down Claire's spine. "Mommy, I'm scared." "Lily." Claire launched toward the sound, fingers outstretched. She stumbled, the floor beneath her shifting like a living thing, wrapping around her feet, pulling her down. "Stay close," Claire shouted, her heart hammering in her chest. Desperation drove her forward as she fought to break free from the choking shadows. "I'm coming." She clawed her way through the murky darkness, focusing on the sound of her daughter's voice. "Come play with us," the shadows whispered, their tone a melodious siren song that tugged at her resolve. "We want you, Claire. No. I want to play," she shouted defiantly, pushing the voices away. They laughed, a sound that curdled her insides. A flicker of light broke through the gloom, a soft glow that promised safety. Claire bolted toward it, hearing the echo of Lily's footsteps matching her own behind her. The sound faded, swallowed by the oppressive darkness. "Mommy! Help!" "No!" Claire's heart dropped. "Lily!" She turned, terror gripping her like icy hands. The flickering light flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness once more. "Lily?" Fear choked her, swirling around like the very shadows themselves. In this suffocating blackness, she faltered. The walls pressed in closer, as if eager to crush the hope inside her. "Only one can stay," the voices echoed with cruel glee. It was a reminder, a warning. Claire felt their hungry eyes watching her, probing her every move, feeding on her despair. "Where are you?" She stumbled again, her knee colliding with the hard floor. Pain shot through her leg, but she bit her lip and pushed forward, a solitary task in the maze of ashen tendrils that seemed to wrap tighter with every move she made. It was then that she remembered a small silver locket Lily wore. The last gift Claire had given her before this nightmare began. "Lily! If you can hear me, please. Where's your locket?" A shimmer, a brief gleam in the shadows caught her attention. Grasping blindly into the void, she felt the cold metal press against her fingers. Heart racing, Claire pulled. It was attached to a chain, tangled and twisted. The light flickered again, revealing a glimpse, a silhouette looming just beyond her line of sight. "Lily," she breathed, dread creeping into her bones like a poison. And then reality unraveled before her, shifting like cobwebs in a storm. The shadows began to morph, lengthening and thickening until they coalesced into figures, horrific and grotesque. Their faces twisted into mockeries of her greatest fears. "I will keep what is mine," one rasped, its voice deep and cold, chilling her to the core. Lily's sobs echoed from somewhere distant, an anguished sound that shattered Claire's heart. "No, please, I can't lose you." But in that moment, a new realization hit her. The shadows were not just threats, they were also visions of unforgiven futures, meant to ensnare her deeper. "Let her go!" Claire screamed, adrenaline flooding her veins. She drew every ounce of courage she had. This was not just a fight for survival, it was about choosing who she could trust. And then from deep within, a spark ignited. Claire pushed through the fear and despair, the whispers growing frantic around her. "No! You won't take her. Only one can stay," the chorus taunted, but she would not let them win. She had a choice to make, and this time, she wouldn't back down. The shadows pulled back, hesitating. But for how long? What price would she pay for her daughter? With the echoes of Lily's cries ringing loud in her ears, she made her choice. Would it be enough to save them both? The darkness surged forward, and as Claire took a deep breath, she realized the final moment was upon her. Claire's heart raced, adrenaline igniting every nerve. The world around her twisted and churned, shadows gnashing at the edges of her vision like wild dogs waiting for a moment of weakness. "I will do whatever it takes," she whispered through gritted teeth. The twisted shadows surged toward her, their voices merging into a cacophony that clawed at her mind. "You cannot fight what is meant to be." They slithered closer, forming into grotesque faces that mirrored her deepest fears. Their eyes burned like embers in the void, reflecting the broken pieces of her hope. "Lily!" A desperate cry escaped her lips as she stumbled backward, the locket slipping through her fingers. It landed with a dull thud against the concrete, the sound echoing into the abyss. Panic clawed at her throat. She couldn't lose the only connection to her daughter. The darkness pulsed around her, alive with a malevolence that seeped into her bones. She crouched low, trying to shield herself from the shadows as they prowled ever closer. In the distance, she could still hear Lily's sobs, the sound hollow and chilling. "Mommy, don't leave me, Lily. I'm coming." Claire felt the warmth of determination burn within her. She scrambled to retrieve the locket, her fingers brushing cold metal as she grasped it tightly. As she stood, a cold wind swept through the dark, chilling her to the core. The shadows lurched forward, arms outstretched, their forms shifting in a nightmarish dance. In that moment, Claire understood she had to face them, recognize the fears they embodied if she was to save her daughter. "You're not real," she shouted, wielding the locket like a weapon. "You can't take me, you can't take her." The words felt flimsy at first, but they gathered strength with every breath she took. The shadows stilled, their laughter dying. They recoiled, whispers fading into a throaty silence. Only one can stay. The tension coiled tight around her. "I choose to stay," Claire screamed, the fervor of her love for Lily cutting through the dark. The realization surged within her: she would fight, not just for herself but for Lily. With newfound strength, she stepped toward the grotesque forms, gripping the locket tightly. "You are nothing but memories of fear. I will not be your prisoner." The shadows paused, uncertainty rippling through their ranks. Suddenly, the ground beneath her felt unsteady, and she staggered as though the world leaned. The light flickered weakly in the distance, casting a fleeting beam that illuminated the monstrous figures briefly, revealing the truth hidden in their darkness. For a moment, Claire caught a glimpse of Lily's face, fear sparkling in her wide eyes, the same ones that had always broken her heart. "Mommy!" The cry echoed through the darkness, breaking the spell of despair that threatened to consume Claire whole. "Stay back!" she shouted at the shadows, thrusting the locket forward. "She's mine." The air thickened, the shadows recoiling in confusion, their sinister forms flickering in and out of focus, but the shadows were relentless, whispering dark promises of what would happen if Claire refused. "Only one can stay," they echoed, tauntingly, wrapping around her with icy fingers, squeezing, suffocating. Then the ground trembled, and a low rumble reverberated through the void. Claire felt the walls of darkness sway, the shadows shifting as if they had a mind of their own. With every beat of her heart, she began to unravel the truth. The shadows fed on her fears, deepening their grip with her despair. "Lily!" she cried, her voice full of defiance. "I love you. I will find you." Suddenly, the locket glowed with an intense light, illuminating the path ahead and casting aside the shadows momentarily. A new sensation filled the air, an electric charge that vibrated through her veins. Claire stepped forward, clenching the locket tightly, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. But as she lunged into the light, a figure loomed from the darkness, blocking her way. "Not so fast," it hissed, the voice slithering around her, wrapping tightly, and suddenly she could feel the air drain. From her lungs, the light flickered, revealing a horrifying sight, an embodiment of everything she feared, twisted and cruel. Would she lose herself in the shadows forever? Would Lily be left to face them alone? An icy dread filled her as she realized she was not only fighting for herself but for her daughter's very soul. How could she possibly escape? With a trembling heart, Claire prepared for the fight of her life, aware that one wrong move could cost her everything. Then she felt it, a bolt of warmth outside the cold, lurking shadows. It was a spark of hope that urged her on. Mommy helped. The shadows cowered, but fear gripped Claire like a vice. Would she succumb to the darkness? Or could she unleash the light hidden within her? As the figure lunged, she took a desperate breath, ready to face the darkest truth of all. The figure had no face, no discernible features. Just a mass of shadows swirling and rippling like liquid night. Claire's heart pounded as it lunged toward her, its movement fluid, predatory. She braced herself, clutching the locket so tightly her knuckles whitened. The faint warmth grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat in her palm. "Get away!" she screamed. The sound burst forth, raw and desperate, cutting through the suffocating air. In response, the shadows surged, howling like a pack of wolves denied their prey. They were hungry, ravenous. Claire stumbled back, eyes darting for a way out, searching for Lily through the darkness that masked her little girl. "Lily! Hold on!" she cried, but the sobs only intensified the agony of every sorrowful heartbeat, echoing in her ears. Only one can stay, the words twisted through the air, wrapping around her like the grip of death itself. What did it mean? Panic surged within her, fear clawing at the walls of her mind. Would it take her, or would it take Lily? She couldn't let that happen. As the figure advanced, Claire thrust the locket forward, desperate for its warmth to repel the darkness. To her shock, the light leaped from the locket like a flame igniting the night. It splintered through the shadows, illuminating grotesque forms writhing in pain. All her fears manifested. Faces from her past twisted into dreadful shapes, moments lost and regrets long buried. Enough! Claire shouted, the locket glowing brighter, demanding attention. I will not be your prisoner. With a surge of light, the shadows recoiled, a chilling scream escaping their collective lips, echoed by the deep rumbling of the void, but they would not give up easily. They circled around her, squeezing tighter, their frigid touch like iron bands binding her limbs. She struggled against the encroaching coldness, a whirlwind of despair surrounding her. "Mommy, please help!" Lily's voice drifted from the shadows, haunting and desperate. It sliced through Claire, evoking raw terror. "I'm coming, Lily!" she shouted, her eyes filling with tears. Would this dark force use her love against her? Memorable moments surged, memories of laughter playing in the kitchen, the warmth of her daughter's small hand in hers while walking to school. Each recollection was a reminder of why she was fighting. "Your love won't save you," the shadow hissed, inching closer. "You can't protect her from fate." "I will." Claire growled back, stepping forward, fueled by a primal urge to reclaim her child. "I will face whatever it takes." Suddenly, she felt the locket's warmth pulse through her fingertips, brighter than before, and she knew the shadows were weak against love. "No more games!" she yelled, unleashing the locket's light with a force she didn't know she possessed. The shadows shrieked, and Claire's heart thundered as the figure stumbled back, dissolving into drifting wisps of black smoke, but the darkness reformed around her, shifting and swirling, as the shadows bared down, furious and relentless. The air grew thick and suffocating, wrapping around her like chains forged from fear. "Only one can stay," they chanted in a deafening roar, vibrating through her bones. Claire's heart raced. The echo of Lily's pleas lingered in her ears, a tether connecting her to the child she would fight for till her last breath. With a final surge of will, Claire channeled everything into the locket, ready to push back against the immensity of the darkness. "I choose love." The shadows roared, but something shifted. The light exploded, illuminating a path through the encroaching gloom. Was it possible? Could she break free? Doubt crept in, she nearly faltered. But then, somewhere deep within the crushing despair, she felt a whisper of hope. Across the expanse of darkness, a chilling laughter pierced through, and a new voice broke the air, smooth and sinister, mocking her bravery. "You really think you can win?" Suddenly, a new shadow detached from the mass, slinking toward her. A chilling presence that felt familiar twisted in the air surrounding Claire, and the torment of uncertainty gnawed at her heart. "Who's there?" Claire shouted, voice trembling. "It's time to find out." The voice slithered through the darkness, wrapping around her deeper than before. And at that moment, Claire realized the shadows had only just begun their torment. Would she discover the true cost of her decision? What awaited her in the depths of darkness? The path lay ahead, but fear and dread filling her heart warned her, the fight was far from over. The shadows twisted before her, swirling like a living entity, hungry and vengeful. Claire felt the weight of them pressing down, stifling her breath. The familiar voice lingered in her mind, its smooth tone dripping with malice. The fear was palpable, it clawed at her insides, igniting memories she wished to forget. "Claire," the voice whispered, slithering through the damp air. "You really don't remember me?" A familiar chill ran down her spine. Could it be? No, she thought, shaking her head. The past could not manifest here. The laughter wrapped tight around her, teasing and taunting. In the depths of that dark, swirling mass, she sensed outlines of figures' faces she recognized yet couldn't place. Each form twisted and distorted, echoes of her history that had come to haunt her. "Lily!" She called out again, desperation tightening her throat. "Please, where are you?" But the shadows only deepened, folding in on themselves as if relishing her fear. Any sense of direction slipped away, her surroundings morphing into a blur of darkness and dread. "Your love is a weakness," the sinister voice continued, now closer, nurturing the dread that surged through her. "You cannot fight fate, Claire. We're all fated to be here with me." The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. The shadows weren't just after Lily. They were after her too. They wanted to turn her love into a weapon against her, to use it as a means to drag her into the void. Each moment counted, and she could feel the strength of the light in her locket begins to dim. "I want to let you win," Claire screamed, pushing the locket out in front of her again, feeling the warmth flickering against the overwhelming chill. "You can't have me." Without warning, the darkness surged. It crashed against the light like a tidal wave, leaving her breathless. The shadows were seeping through the cracks, clawing at the tender skin of her spirit. She felt pieces of her resolve tearing away with every inch they advanced. Suddenly, Claire remembered her own mother's embrace, the steadiness of her hand on Claire's shoulder during chaotic times. She was filled with a fierce determination. The memories of love and safety rose fiercely, fueling the flickering flame within the locket once more. "Come on, baby. Don't give up. You're stronger than this," she whispered to herself, channeling thoughts of her daughter. The locket glowed, pulsing in sync with her racing heart. She struggled against the shadows closing in. "You don't control me." With renewed strength, Claire pressed forward, forcing the locket into the shadow's depths, preparing to unleash every ounce of love, every memory that had fortified her. As the light burst forth, the shadows shrieked, a cacophony of voices crying out in terror. But a new figure emerged from the swirling mass, blocking her path. It stepped forward with malevolent intent, an echo of the person Claire used to know. Its features sharper, twisted into a grotesque version of the once familiar face, reflecting betrayal and hatred. "Isn't it too late for redemption?" it hissed, lips curling into a mocking smile. "You left me, Claire." The ground beneath her trembled, and Claire felt the weight of the shadows grow heavier. They clung to her, wrapping tight as doubt slithered back into her heart. "Mommy, please." Lily's voice broke through the cacophony, raw with fear. It ignited a fierce hatred for the dark toward her daughter's plight. "Stop it!" Claire cried. "I'll find her." But was it true? Could she reclaim her daughter and still escape the darkness that waited eagerly to swallow her whole? Amidst the chaos, the voice continued, "Only one can stay, and she's just a child. You can't protect her forever." The shadows tightened, and the echo of despair filled her ears, drowning her thoughts, but Claire knew. She would do anything to save her. As the shadows converged, Claire felt the locket's warmth ebbing, but she would fight until the very end. "Your darkness is weak," she yelled. But were her words true? With dread coiling around her, she prepared to face the choice that lay before her. Would she sacrifice herself for Lily or find a way to snatch her back from the brink of darkness? Desperation ignited her spirit, urging her towards an uncertain fate. The shadows roared, and Claire steeled herself for the battle ahead. What truths, hidden in her past, would she uncover to vanquish the darkness? And would love alone be enough to break its grip? The shadows lunged at Claire in a frenzy, their clammy grasp wrapping around her like a serpent coiling around its prey. Panic surged within her as they snaked further, piercing the heart of her resolve. She could feel their icy breath creeping closer, whispering vile secrets from beyond. "Give in, Claire," the familiar voice taunted, twisting through the air. "You can't fight who you really are. You're wrong." She shouted, but her voice wavered, the mocking laughter echoing in her ears. The figures emerged like dark memories, each face an image of past grievances brought to life. They were all their lost friendships, broken promises, voices that pleaded for forgiveness. "Let her go!" Claire screamed, the weight of the shadows thickening around her. Each breath felt constricted, like a hand tightening around her throat. She could hear Lily's sobs mingling with the sinister cackles, the sound of her daughter filling her with a bittersweet fury. The shadows pulled tighter, and the cruel laugh echoed again, plunging knives of doubt into her heart. "Do you think you're worthy of her love? You abandoned everything for a fleeting sense of happiness. What makes you think you can save her now?" "Shut up!" Claire cried, struggling against the darkness, every ounce of her energy focused on the small flicker of light from the locket. She had to trust it. Trust the warmth of love that had been so carelessly infused in that tiny sliver of hope. With a fierce yank, she tore herself free from the grip that threatened to swallow her whole, the remnants of dark tendrils shredding at her skin like barbed wire. Mind racing, she squeezed the locket until it hurt, pouring all her energy into that singular point. She could not let Lily down. Not again. "Remember your strength," she whispered fiercely, feeling a surge of warmth pulse from the locket. The shadows howled in protest, recoiling from the purity of the light. For an instant, Claire glimpsed a path, a thread of illumination cutting through the dark and beckoning her forward. "Time's running out." The voice hissed as the shadows rallied around her, forming a wall of despair. "You're losing everything." But Claire charged ahead, determined to break the cycle. "No more!" she screamed, and with a shout that resonated from her core, she unleashed the pure energy of love and memory. The locket exploded with brightness, fire igniting the fabric of the darkness. The shrieks rose to deafening heights as the light illuminated the faces of those she once loved and lost. Their twisted forms began to shift, transforming from specters of her pain into expressions of longing, sorrow, and ultimately, forgiveness. "Mommy!" Lily's voice broke through again, clearer and more desperate than ever. It was as if the shadows had clawed at a tether snapping between them, and now her child was on the other side, reaching desperately for her. "Just hold on, baby!" Claire shouted into the abyss, her heart racing as she pushed through the dissonance. The shadows shrieked louder, yet their power was fading against the onslaught of the locket's light. Suddenly, the ground beneath her quaked violently. The shadows swept around her like a tempest, their presence crashing in full force, demanding to reclaim her. "No!" She wouldn't let them drag her under. For as terrifying as the struggle was, the light felt indomitable, even in the face of this awakening nightmare. But with each ounce of energy she spent, Claire could feel her own vitality slipping away, her heart faltering against the onslaught. "Only one can escape. Will it be you or your daughter?" The voice thundered, dripping with venom. Everything felt like it was unraveling, and Claire was torn between the unbearable choice: herself or her daughter. Would she let the shadows have her? Rage filled her, sharpening her focus. "Take her if you can." Claire roared defiantly as she propelled the light forward, staggering into the churning sea of shadows, but the sag in her strength sent shockwaves of despair back through her. Could love truly conquer the shadows, or was darkness too powerful, ready to claim them both in the end? As the battle raged and the shadows clawed back ferociously, whispers of doubt began to swirl through Claire's mind. What price would she pay to save her child? Would it truly be enough to fight the darkness, or would they find themselves both ensnared forever? The shadows writhed around Claire, twisting and coiling like serpents gnashing their teeth at the light. Heart pounding, she gripped the locket so tightly her fingers ached, clenching it like a lifeline. "I choose love," she shouted, her voice raw and fierce, each syllable resonating with certainty. The shadows surged forward, their icy tendrils clawing as they sought to pull her back. But Claire stood her ground, breathing deep and channeling every warm memory of Lily into that tiny silver locket. The light flared brighter, illuminating the grotesque faces surrounding her, faces twisted by sorrow and betrayal, each echo of her past now morphing into less than what they had been. "I want to lose you, Lily," Claire roared, her voice cutting through the cacophony of anguished whispers swirling in the dark. In that moment, she felt an unstoppable force surge from within her. She could do this, she had to. The shadows recoiled around her, their once menacing forms flickering, quivering before the rising light. "Only one can stay," they wailed, their voices rising in pitch, as if the light was igniting fear deep within them. That single revelation, that one echoing fear, ignited something in Claire's heart. "I choose us both," Claire declared, the words spilling from her like fire. A golden light flared between her and the shadows, pulsing in rhythm with her belief that love transcends all fear. The shadows shrieked, their cries growing chaotic, drowning amid the radiance. She felt the darkness begin to fragment, twisting against itself, no longer able to hold solid form. "Mommy!" Lily's voice broke through, clear and piercing, anchoring Claire's focus. The intensity of her longing fueled Claire's determination to push forward. "I'm coming, baby. Just hold on." With each step, the ground shifted beneath her, the locket glimmered like a star, guiding her through the oppressive fog. The grotesqueries of shadows flickered, faces morphing into anguished expressions before retreating into the depths. "You choose too much," the familiar voice echoed, sorrowful and frantic. "You're choosing the impossible." But Claire's heart swelled, radiating, bursting with the desire to save her daughter. "I will fight until my last breath," she screamed, a fervor like she had never felt before. She charged through clouds of darkness, weaving the light into a protective shield. The warmth danced around her, creeping towards where Lily's voice beckoned. As the shadows dissolved into swirling specters, Claire felt the tether between her and Lily draw taut. With one final push, Claire sprinted, desperation driving her forward. "I can see you," she cried, closing the gap, still feeling the weight of doubt press in from all sides. Just a little longer. A thick, suffocating blackness engulfed her, and suddenly, Claire staggered, the grip of despair wrapping around her like chains. "Only one can stay," the voice hissed again, threatening to pull her back into the abyss. Breathless, she steadied herself, the lustrous light dimming around her, but Claire remembered each time they had laughed together, every moment shared between them, every little hug and word of encouragement. "Lily!" she shouted, renewing her strength, severing the grip of the shadows that sought to bind her. "I choose us both. I want to let you take me." In a radiant explosion, the locket flared with blinding light, illuminating the swirling shadows. The echoes of anguished voices and memories collided in a wave of collision. She leaped forward. "You can't control us," Claire declared, charging towards the pulsating glow. The darkness screamed, enveloping her in chaos. But she forged ahead, fists raised, holding on to the brilliant flicker of love that fueled her every step. "My love is unstoppable. It is the light I carry." Suddenly, everything quieted. A piercing clarity emerged amidst the void. Claire found herself standing in an empty, white expanse. The shadows had evaporated into thin air, their cries silencing, leaving behind nothing but a tense stillness. "Mommy?" And there was Lily, standing just a few feet away. Eyes wide and sparkling. Claire's heart surged as she rushed toward her daughter. You're okay." Tears streamed down Claire's cheeks as she scooped Lily into her arms, the warmth of their embrace melting away remnants of the dark. "I was scared," Lily whispered, burying her face into Claire's shoulder. "But then you came. I knew you would." The echoes of doubt and despair faded, leaving a sensation of peace settling between them. Together, they stepped hand in hand into the growing light that enveloped them. The fears that had distanced them were vanishing, replaced by an overwhelming sense of safety and love. As they moved toward the light, the locket pulsed softly, still warm in Claire's grasp, a lasting reminder of their journey. They would carry it together, a bond stronger than any shadow that could ever threaten them again. That pure moment of connectedness holding her daughter so tightly, Claire finally understood. Together, they had conquered the darkness, their hearts entwined, forever entwined. And as they emerged into the refreshing dawn, Claire smiled. She inhaled the soft breeze, aware that their bond was an unwavering flame, set to illuminate any dark corners that may arise in the future. That night proved to them both that together, love would always lead the way. Now, let's keep the momentum going. You need to subscribe now to never miss another exclusive story from the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these incredible tales coming your way. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending, because I want to hear from true fans. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything, and we can't do it without you.